Alright, hello. So we have a video here today by Legendary Drops called We Have Reached Biblical Levels of Coping. Now, this is about Palworld, which I fucking love the game. It is so incredibly fun. I think it deserves all the success it has. But the internet doesn't, specifically the Nintendo fans. They absolutely despise the fact that Palworld is doing well because it makes their game look like shit, which it is. But with that being said, let's get right into this.
We're drama farming today. Yeah, that's right. We're
Real.
doubling back because apparently Palworld has broken people's minds instead of just celebrating the game for the success that it's found and also for the fact that Nintendo finally has a real competitor for Pokemon. No, you have people that have fallen into psychosis.
That is a big thing where Nintendo finally has some sort of competition, but I really doubt they're going to do anything with it because people are just going to buy Pokemon games anyways because it's fucking Pokemon. It's like Disney. It's too big to fail because people just see it as their childhood at this point. We spend our earlier years trying to act more like an adult, but then once we're an adult, we try to act more like a kid. It's kind of ass backwards thinking, but what'd you expect?
Deep level of coping that we never even thought was possible. Scientists need to study this thing because, man, is it horrendous. In the face of Palworld's continued success, and oh man, is it successful, these people just won't let it be.
You see this right here? People are pissed about this. Last hour, 556,000 people playing, 24-hour peak, 800,000 all-time peak, 2.1 million. And this is a game made by an independent studio, I believe. So it putting up numbers like this is kind of insane. This year, and like the past few years in general, have been really good for indie gaming, but I think that's just because AAA has just been selling it so fucking poorly. Palworld definitely deserves, like, the success it's getting. Like, in the last week alone, I think I put 30 hours into the game on stream. It is insanely fun.
Palworld derangement syndrome, where regardless of the facts that are right in front of them, this game has to constantly be under attack. You have people accusing Palworld and Pocket Pair of walking into Nintendo's offices and stealing assets right off of their desks. You got some people
That's
that are
Twitter
saying
for
that
you.
regardless of what you're seeing online, don't believe a damn thing because this game, it's actually a failure. It's a flop.
Yeah, don't believe your lying eyes that show you the facts of, holy shit, this is doing fucking amazing. Because it makes Pokemon look bad.
It's a laughing stock in most countries. You guys just don't see it because it's not real. And even if this game is popular, well, the only reason why is because of internet grifters and YouTubers.
Oh my god. Yeah, of course it's this argument again. Anything I don't like and anything I don't agree with is people grifting. I don't agree with your take. You're a grifter. You're doing this for popularity. When, honestly, most of the time, the quote-unquote grifting is the less popular thing to do. In this case, saying Palworld is good is more popular, but that's not because it's a grift. That's because it's a fucking good game.
That are only rallying the troops and trying to get people to play this game for one reason.
Furry bait.
To make Pokemon fans mad.
Oh.
Guys, that's just a side benefit. The ego on these guys is just absolutely absurd. What many people fail to realize is the vast majority of people that are playing Palworld right now, they're Pokemon fans or former Pokemon fans. Or they're people that always wanted to get into one of these games, but maybe it just didn't suit them for whatever reason. It wasn't mature enough, maybe. Or
no, I actually am a Pokemon fan. I do like Pokemon. I used to collect the cards before, it became what it is now, to say the least. I bought a Nintendo Switch just to play Pokemon games. I originally played Pokemon Omega Ruby and actually Alpha Sapphire as well on the 3DS. Like, I've always been a fan of the games, but it gets stagnant after a while, to say the least. It's the same thing pretty much every single game. Palworld adding all the stuff it does where it, like, industrializes the game and makes it more of a factory-type game, I am such a sucker for. I love factory-type games. So taking the good parts from Pokemon and the good aspects from factory games and making it a survival-based game was such a good idea. And honestly, I'm surprised it's something Pokemon hasn't tried to do. You would think with an idea like that, it would be a cash cow, which turns out it is.
Maybe, I don't know. They just didn't want to have to buy a whole console just to be able to do so. Nintendo is the one that opened this door. They're the ones that let Palworld through. That needs to be recognized. So today, we're going to roll around in the mud a little bit, maybe sling a little bit of it ourselves. We're going to set the record straight, and we're going to talk about how Palworld's success isn't even over yet. Hell, it's probably not even begun. This thing's only going to get bigger.
Yeah, the 1.0 just released. This is the actual release of the game. It's not like a beta anymore. It's fully released now, so every update, it's only going to get talked about more. Especially depending on what Nintendo does next. If they flop the next game, people are going to look towards Palworld and say, well, you should have done this.
Normally, I don't circle back around to a topic. I like
That
to
boss
stick
was
and move
so
when
easy.
it comes to the things that I cover. But Palworld continued to gain momentum over the weekend, and while my timeline has been filled with people that have been cheering on the game's success, there have been more people either defending Palworld or documenting some of the highest grade meltdowns and coping that I've ever seen from the darkest corners of the Pokemon fandom. And I think that
Yep.
it is very important to make that distinction because
I've
I
seen
don't
it
think that
too.
these conversations are coming from well-adjusted fans of the largest franchise in history. No, I
Fuck
think
no,
that
of
they are
course
coming
not.
from the most terminally millennial rejects that have not only made a franchise, but a multi-billion-dollar corporation their god and their identity. I'm talking about 40-year-olds with Pokemon trainer profile pictures staking out your local Costco and Target in their Vaporeon is my waifu t-shirt while they're in there in the early hours of the morning just so
What
they
the
can
fuck?
sumo wrestle each other for a box
What
of
the
Pokemon cards
fuck?
out of the fear that a mom of a 10-year-old might want to buy a pack or two because her kid came home with a good report card. Palworld's success has broken these people. No game should ever or can ever come close to the franchise that they've dedicated their entire lives to. And as Palworld's success has continued,
Might be a hot take here. I think Digimon's better than Pokemon at this point. I bought Digimon Time Stranger not too long ago, and that game is a absolute blast. It feels like a more polished and thought out version of Pokemon. And I'm about to start a whole series here soon on Cobblemon. Like I enjoy Pokemon, but still, I just feel like other games do the formula so much better. But Nintendo just has like no solid competition where they feel like they have to improve. It's kind of like how Overwatch and Marvel Rivals were. Overwatch got stagnant after a while and like really didn't change much about the game until Rivals came along. And then ever since they've just been on fire with updates, adding a whole bunch of new shit and revamping the game to a point where it's actually fun again.
these people have only fallen deeper into depravity. Since my last video talking about the game, Palworld has somehow broken yet another milestone, climbing to a peak concurrent player count of over 960,000 players. That means
Insane.
Palworld has now entered the top 10 most played games in Steam's history twice over. First, by breaking Counter-Strike 2 with 2.1
That is
million players, and then
insane.
now by returning and breaking past Elden Ring. These numbers are absolutely insane. They are shared by some of the highest selling, most popular, and most prestigious games in the entire industry. But for whatever reason, some people have decided that that simply just is not enough. In response to the latest peak, one person had said, this would be impressive if it had doubled the early access launch peak, but it is currently below 50% of its peak CCU, and with only 16K new user reviews added since 1.0, that means barely anyone playing Palworld right now is a new player. They then doubled down later, saying that the game is completely and utterly a flop in Japan, citing that Japanese player reviews only made up 1% of the game's 442,000 global reviews.
Can we mention the community note here? Palworld was the #1 most downloaded PS5 game on the Japanese PlayStation Store in October 2024, shortly after its console launched there. Steam review counts do not reflect its console sales, which dominate Japan's gaming market. See, that seems to be something that a lot of people forget. Palworld isn't like Pokemon where it's solely locked onto Nintendo Switch. No, it's on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. That's 3 different markets there. And from what I've seen, it's been fucking blowing up on all of them. People seem to treat Steam as like the fucking one above all when it comes to this stuff, when sometimes console sales do actually outweigh PC or are about the same. Because a lot of people have consoles. Me, as a fucking PC nerd, I grew up with a PlayStation. I have a PS5, and I have an Xbox One, just to play with friends. Because usually, people that have PCs also have consoles. So it's not really insane to think that Palworld's success could be a lot higher than what we're seeing.
This is what happens when somebody discovers SteamDB before they discover statistical literacy. They have the concurrent player counts, percentages, review totals, regional breakdowns. They got the whole forensic investigation laid out right in front of them, and yet somehow they understand less about Palworld's performance than somebody that looked at that chart for about 5 seconds. A non-live service game bringing back nearly 1 million concurrent players years after its launch is statistically absurd. Even
Yeah,
Elden
that's
Ring,
another
one of the most
thing.
celebrated games ever made, returned
It's
roughly
not live
70%
service.
of its original peak with a
Damn.
massive expansion. Palworld returning nearly half of its historic 2.1 million players at its launch is not evidence of failure, it's evidence of an enormous existing audience returning alongside a flood of new players. And using 16,000 new reviews, or the percentage of Japanese language reviews from a predominantly console-based country to be able to calculate how many new people are actually playing the game is honestly ridiculous. The vast majority of players never even leave a review. They cite the 442,000 global reviews accumulated over the course of 2 years, but Palworld sold 15 million copies on Steam in its first month alone.
Yeah, that feeds back to what I was saying before. 15 million copies on Steam, 10 million on console. That's a 33% difference. But that's still like not all that crazy. There's still a big pool of players on console.
Back 2 years ago, even against that opening month number,
I believe
reviews
they're at
represent
40
less
million
than
now.
3% of players. They are trying to measure an ocean with a shot glass, and they're writing it down to the 6th decimal place. Japan makes this argument even dumber. It is one of the weakest major markets for PC gaming, with console players outnumbering PC players nearly 2-1 and mobile players nearly 4-1. Of course,
That makes
Japanese
sense.
Steam reviews are going to be disproportionately low. According to Famitsu, Resident Evil
Smash.
Requiem is the 7th most popular game of the year in Japan, yet only 986.
Hold up. Pokemon Company. 1 million sales. Now, to be fair, that did release this year, but still, Palworld had 15 million in the first month. Now, I believe this is just for Japan, so take that with a grain of salt. I don't know the exact number that was in Japan, but it's probably reasonable to say it would make it on this list in just the first month of its release.
Only 986 of its more than 104,000 Steam reviews are actually in Japanese. That's not even 1%. So what are these people even doing? They are speaking with absolute certainty about data that they never even tried to understand, let alone even verify. This is entry-level math. And this man is out here publishing Twitter dissertations like he completed the Human Genome Project because he just learned how to divide 2 numbers.
It's a straw man.
People who wouldn't even be bothered to misread the numbers because they would much rather just deny reality entirely. Some people are claiming that the only reason that Palworld surged over the weekend was because, well, YouTubers and their audiences were just playing the game out of spite. Other people said that, well, the creators once worked in crypto, so they just kind of decided that every positive post about the game is coming from bots, scammers, or some coordinated campaign. And when none of that works, well, then they just throw.
But if these people were playing Pokemon and encouraging people to play Pokemon, they wouldn't be saying any of this. Not a single one of these people would say a peep.
Throw their hands up and ask why anyone cares at all. One Nintendo content creator had said, as people spam Palworld's live player count, I ask again, why any of us care? There are likely 15 million people playing Roblox right now. Nobody seems to care about that. It's just being used to argue online. I wish none of us ever knew that metric. The idea that people are only bringing up a number to argue it is hilarious coming from the people that are actively arguing against that number.
They're the people bringing it up.
They desperately want everybody to stop looking at it. Why should we even know this metric is exactly what somebody would say when the scoreboard's still on and their team is getting blown out. That number matters because it gives us a real-time snapshot of how many people are playing a game at once. It helps us gauge how successful a game is, and we need that information because it's serving as a warning for how safe that game is for you to invest your time and your money into. As more games become dependent on live support, the last thing you want to do is buy into something that has no future. There are plenty of people saving their money right now because they didn't buy Marathon, even though there's a ton of people that are saying that, it's one of the greatest games ever made, even though it's struggling to hold water. Only the most stalwart Nintendo fans could look at this situation and decide, you know what, the real problem is too much transparency. But you know what, I'll tell you what, The real reason why people care about these numbers
Damn, I
is
need
the
to get
message
that
they
pal.
send.
She seems pretty good.
Pokemon has spent years in squalor, putting in the least amount of effort, generation after generation, while maximizing their profits the entire way through. Pokemon is the largest media franchise in history, generating more than $100 billion in revenue by 2024. And the
What
only way that
Pokemon
players are
game
going to
is
be able to
that?
make their voices heard over its loudest
I,
defenders and also
I've
its
not
biggest
kept up with it.
spenders,
What
people who
Pokemon game is
seem
that? That
completely
actually looks
happy with just eating
decent.
shit, is for another game to come along with numbers that genuinely threaten it. Steam concurrent player counts give us those numbers, and on that top 10 peak concurrent
Did
list
kind of
that
look
I
like a
had
mobile
shown,
game though.
Palworld sits above Cyberpunk 2077, which sold 40 million copies, Elden Ring, which sold 30 million, Hogwarts Legacy, which sold 40 million. These are numbers that actively challenge some of Pokemon's highest selling and highest performing games. Palworld is multi-platform. It's widely accessible, and it gives people a reason not to choose Nintendo now that there is a real alternative that is out there. So when I see people that are tweeting Pokemon doesn't have to do anything because it's the largest entertainment franchise, or that they're floating theories that Sony...
That's the problem. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to improve. Again, bring this back to Overwatch and Blizzard. They weren't improving the game at all. It just kept getting worse and worse. And then, well, Rivals came along and threatened the game's future. And honestly, that's all you can really hope here with Palworld. And that maybe, that it's since it's doing so incredibly well, that Pokemon Company will actually take a second to step back and look that, hey, maybe we need to fix this. Maybe we need to improve our games and make it have that magic it used to have.
is secretly funding and running an online campaign against Pokemon, or that everyone celebrating Palworld is just pretending to like it just to spite Pokemon fans. I have to appreciate the sheer Omega level ego required to believe that any of this is about you. It's not about you. It's about getting around you and reaching a franchise that has spent years shielded from criticism, a franchise that has left countless players behind while farming the blind faith of its most devoted consumers by serving them swill at a premium price. Palworld doesn't need to destroy Pokemon. It only needs to prove that there are millions of people that are out there that are waiting for someone to deliver something that Nintendo refused to. And that's exactly what this game has done. And it did so perfectly. It did so for half the price with no DLC, no microtransactions, or no live service. Unlike Pokemon, they make you fools pay for evolutions. What are you talking about? You're not even a part of this conversation anymore. You obviously don't even want your games to get any better. And these plutonium-enriched retards are coping harder than I have ever seen. And what makes this
I'm gonna
all
start
so
using
frustrating
that now.
is that it's for their own benefit. This game needs competition. Pokemon and Nintendo as a company needs competition. Anytime any company or service or product is left to its own devices where it has no competition and it effectively has a monopoly, well, they switch from value creation to value extraction, and Nintendo has been running that gambit for decades now. Now, this is when I inevitably hear, but there are other creature collectors. True, but they've also proven that they are not adequate competition. They make fantastic games. Digimon Time Strangers was great.
Yes.
I loved that game. And I also heard that Monster Hunter Stories is also really good. But these guys have not made a dent. They've not even made a scratch, and they've been at it for years now.
Yeah.
Decades in the case of Digimon. Palworld left a gaping wound. This game is massive.
I do recommend Digimon Time Strangers. It is incredibly fun. Like, I personally bought the game on sale, and it was worth every penny. Honestly, if I would have known about the game sooner, because I found it when it was on sale, if I would have known about it sooner, I would have bought it full price. It is incredibly fun. And I believe it has a free demo.
If you want anybody to blame for your favorite game being threatened, why don't you try blaming the company that left any room for competition? The company that put in the least amount of effort possible? The company that continued to charge you more while offering you less, and then sued anybody else that even tried to come between you? You're triggered over parody designs and the fact that another game exists other than yours. Absolutely pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. It's so sad to see. I would block most of these people if it wasn't so entertaining to see them melt down. But we're not done yet. No, we still got more, because Palworld's not done either. Not only is this their second
Palworld just
step
getting
towards
started.
their success, but this is going to be a continued success. And no matter
Honestly, these people that are spending all of their time on Twitter hating on Palworld and constantly bringing up the game like, oh, Pokemon's better, blah, blah, blah. All they're doing is helping Palworld. Like, those tweets have been blowing up and getting so many eyes on Palworld to the point where they've probably done more good than bad to it. Because let's be honest, it's Twitter. No one takes these idiots seriously. There's probably some people that are like, shit, I forgot about Palworld. There's a new update. I should play it again. Or, hey, let's see what all the fuss is about. Let's see if it's actually as bad as people say it is. And then they'll try it out and end up falling in love with the game.
what Nintendo tries to do, and no matter what lies people try to say, Palworld has become inevitable. So we've been kind of leading up to this, but the one thing that really motivated this follow-up video was the overwhelming amount of disinformation surrounding the Pocket Pair and Nintendo lawsuit. People have been spending years now framing that legal battle as something that it never was, while openly accusing Pocket Pair of a crime that they were never charged with: plagiarism. That accusation was largely...
That's not even what that was about. It was literally just Nintendo getting butthurt and making a shit ton of patents. Throwing a sphere-shaped object at a creature is actually not allowed. We're the only one that can do that. Or using a ball to summon a creature is not allowed. That's why Palworld had to get rid of throwing the Pal Spheres out and summoning your Pal that way. Now it just kind of pops up whenever you hit E.
left hanging after the game had entered into early access, open to interpretation, and, well, much of that is to the fault of games media. Soon after Palworld had launched, a huge portion of the coverage consisted of games journalists and developers that were dragging the game for its creature designs and its premise. Eurogamer, quite literally just angry because the game was popular, PC Gamer, Eurogamer, IGN, VGC, GameSpot, Kotaku, all of these guys just kept circulating these claims about stolen assets, plagiarism, generative AI, and they were convinced that Pocket Pair had done something heinous. Yet, once the game had now reached 1.0, every single one of these guys is silent. Not a single one of these outlets ever went back to correct their accusations or the drama that they helped spread. The only retrospective coverage that I could find was from Dexerto, which had reported that the person that was claiming that they had discovered proof of the stolen Palworld models, well, they had actually altered those models to make the plagiarism accusations appear more convincing. And despite all of their reporting on the Nintendo's lawsuit against Palworld, none of these outlets ever bothered to mention that the lawsuit never had any claims of plagiarism.
Yeah, it wasn't even about
Their
it.
silence left the original narrative intact this entire time. The unhinged Nintendo fans have been feeding on it ever since then. We've been seeing these people ask genuinely.
It's literally that thing of, don't talk bad about my favorite AAA company. It's quite literally just that. That fucking chuds.
How or why should anybody ever give Palworld a pass? Then someone responding to the claim that Palworld never stole anything had said, it's not a stretch, don't listen to that dolt. Palworld's first controversy was that it used AI in the character building process by feeding every Pokemon into an AI to mix and match them into new ones. Another one had said the developer has spoken highly about generative AI in the past. Palworld exists purely to create controversy and leech off the Pokemon brand. Now we have people that are yet again fabricating images of the new legendary creature Pan.
Or better yet, you're a plutonium charged retard.
Thalas to make it resemble Kyogre, and the media is there.
I saw that.
Helping them.
I saw that right when it came out. Yeah, this person literally just fucking recolored Kyogre to make it look like Palworld just completely copied them. I already made a short about this. I think I've also made tweets about it. It's so fucking stupid.
Thalas to make it resemble Kyogre, and the media is there once again, helping them to circulate it through articles that perpetuate that lie. Then we see posts that are claiming that Pocket Pair changed the creature designs in 1.0 because of the lawsuit, and once again, journalists are helping to carry a completely false premise into a wider conversation when every, and I mean every, early access game ends up making massive changes to the designs just by full release. So I'm going to say this once. Pocket Pair was never sued over their creature designs. There is no plagiarism or trademark case. Nintendo's entire legal attack was built around patents covering gameplay mechanics that they believed that they had a right to control, including throwing a ball or an object to capture a creature, mounting a summoned creature, and more recently, touchscreen functionality used to capture a creature. That's why so many of these journalists who quite literally cheered for Nintendo to sue Pocket Pair suddenly lost their voices once the lawsuits began. These cases had demonstrated that.
The funniest part is the reason why Palworld 1.0 has all this like stuff that they had to get rid of is because they ruled that the Pokemon Company and Nintendo could only sue about the older versions of Palworld. 1.0 is not affected.
While some of Palworld's creatures were undoubtedly inspired by Pokemon,
Absolutely,
Nintendo was
yeah.
not alleging that Pocket Pair had stolen their models or plagiarized their designs. Instead, these people had summoned the devil and then wanted to cry about what they had done, crying about all these games that were going to get caught in Nintendo's crosshairs and how damaging it would be for the rest of the industry. That is also why a lot of these same outlets have now surrendered themselves to positive coverage. They're publishing guides, reporting on player numbers, and even celebrating the fact that Pokemon finally has competition, all without acknowledging the narrative that they helped create.
Yeah,
Luckily,
scum.
Nintendo has walked away with nothing, losing their efforts in both the United States and also Japan, largely just due to the absurdity of.
I think it was something where they could only get like a couple $1,000 at most from the lawsuit, and then they've spent millions on it. So at the end of the day, Pokemon, even like if they were to win, which they're not, they would still lose so much money over them just being little quiet kiss babies.
Their patents. I mean, come on, man. Some of this stuff is absolutely ridiculous, but apparently some of it's also because of Nintendo's most hated force in existence, fan-made games. The
Yep.
plagiarism accusation stopped having anything to do with evidence a long
Pokemon
time
Brick
ago.
Bronze.
It has always just been this moral excuse that people have used to not accept that Palworld has earned its audience. Inspiration, plagiarism, stolen assets, generative AI, patent infringement, copyright infringement. All of these things are just completely different accusations that were all thrown into the exact same bucket because accuracy would require these guys to admit that they had lost most of their case years ago. But none of that stopped Palworld from becoming the success that it is. Maybe it slowed it down. Maybe the lawsuits created some uncertainty. Maybe 2 years of people screaming plagiarism, AI, stolen assets, and fraud convinced enough people to stay away from it. But it didn't stunt the game's growth. And nearly 1 million people showing up at the exact same time 2 years later is proof of that.
I feel like it definitely hurt it in some ways. It would lead to uncertainty in the company and would definitely make things harder money-wise. But at the same time, it getting as much coverage as it did because of the lawsuit, I feel like has probably helped the game's numbers in the long term. As much as they tried to put bad publicity on the game, it probably helped it to an extent.
Palworld is not some temporary meme anymore. It isn't a novelty. It isn't Pokemon with guns, and it isn't some early access scam that people thought that they were just going to forget about after a month. It is a defined success with a massive audience. And again, nearly every premium game that is surrounding it on Steam's all-time concurrent player chart has gone on to sell 30 million or more copies. Those are not numbers of a game that is barely hanging on. Those are numbers of a franchise that is being built right in front of us. Pokemon doesn't just have another competitor, they have a monster to deal with.
You want to sit there and say Elden Ring's a flop. Palworld has more sales than Elden Ring. Or you wouldn't sit there and say, oh, Cyberpunk 2077 was an absolute flop. The game did horrible. Sure, it had a rocky launch, but it still sold 40 million copies. Same as Palworld.
Palworld is offering almost everything that fans have been asking for Pokemon to do for years, and then they go beyond it. Open world exploration, meaningful multiplayer, base building, survival systems, deeper creature utility, and monsters that actually matter outside of just standing in a field and just slapping each other.
All people wanted was a Pokemon game that was like the anime, where you live in the world of Pokemon, not just as a trainer, not as just someone that's trying to become the very best, but as someone who is living in that world. People want to be immersed in their games. And Pokemon just doesn't seem to understand that. But Palworld does.
It does all of this for less money and, most importantly, across nearly every major platform. That means that Palworld isn't just giving people an alternative to Pokemon, they're giving them an alternative to Nintendo. You don't need to buy their hardware, you don't need to pay their prices, you don't even need to wait around hoping for the next game to run properly. You can buy Palworld and play it on your PC or your favorite console that you already own with friends that probably were never even considering to buy a Nintendo system at all. And Pocket Pair clearly is not treating this game like it's a one-time fluke. They have a trading card game, a dating simulator, a farming game, more updates on the way, and probably a lot more.
Yo, should I play the fucking Palworld dating sim? Let me know in the comments.
More that we don't even know yet. As ridiculous as the premise is, there is a real chance that Palworld just keeps getting better, keeps expanding, and keeps picking up steam. And then what happens when a year or two from now we actually get a sequel that gets announced? What happens when they take everything that they've learned, all the feedback, all the mistakes, and all the money that they've made, and they build something that's even bigger? Palworld has already proved that millions of people.
I absolutely hope so. If they can get a bigger team and just do everything as well as they've already done now, because I will admit there is some rocky moments in the game, but that was mainly before 1.0. 1.0 has been flawless for me. I know some people have had issues, but already the scope, they've doubled the map size with the 1.0 update because of the world tree. Imagine what they could do now, because they could easily secure funding. They could easily get more people on the team to work on a new game. I would absolutely continue playing Palworld games if they keep coming out, just like Digimon. If they can turn this into a franchise, I think it would be amazing, because they know how to give fans what they want.
People were waiting for an alternative. The next one might prove that Nintendo waited too long to realize what they let through the door. I am 100% a dejected Pokemon fan, somebody that grew up with the franchise but became more and more disappointed as years went on and finally just separated myself from it. I don't like Palworld just because I want to.
I played about halfway through Arceus, and I just stopped caring. That's just when I lost it. I just couldn't care anymore.
Spite people, and I don't make videos like this just because I want to stick it to Nintendo, though I'm not gonna lie, it does feel good to when I get the opportunity.
It is pretty funny.
I hope that this somehow leads to better Pokemon games. I hope it leads to bigger and better Palworld games and bigger and better games from other developers in the future. And while
absolutely,
I fully understand that this is a franchise that wasn't going to grow up with me, and I understand that it's a franchise that's made for kids, I never thought it was a franchise that was going to essentially just devolve into nothing more than premium price slop. That's all it is. They're just farming the people that just keep giving them money for whatever reason. And, you know, somebody needed to step up. Somebody needed to show up and put them in their place. And I think that's largely what's happened recently. And I think that's how a lot of people feel. I think that's why a lot of people are excited about this game and why people want to support it.
Yeah.
Nintendo has just gotten way too confident in their walled garden. They've largely just not had any competition, not any real competition. Nintendo and Xbox and PlayStation have just been having a competition between each other to see who can suck more. But
god damn, yeah, it's been so bad lately. Now, I will say Xbox is turning around. PlayStation, though, fuck. As a PlayStation fan, just, I'm sad, man. What the fuck? It's so unfortunate how just shitty PlayStation is getting. But I don't really play on my console anymore, so it's just kind of like whatever at this point.
You know, Nintendo has just tried to farm nostalgia, and they've had this audience of people that have been locked into their console that honestly, in a lot of ways, probably just don't know better. I hate to say it like that, but it's like if you're just a solely Nintendo gamer, you're not really getting exposed to a lot of other stuff in the wider industry, and games take a long time to be able to get to you in a lot of cases. So, in most cases, the games that you have to play are the Nintendo ones, and, you know, give credit where credit is due. Nintendo doesn't have a lot of competition for their games because of the unique premise of their games, the unique premise of their audience. But what that means is that,
like, don't get me wrong, I don't think Nintendo's a bad company when it comes to making games. Now, the stuff they do, yeah, I think they're kind of shitty, but their games are really good. I just think they got too complacent with a lot of the newer games. Because Mario, for example, is still innovating, still finding new ways to make it fun, revamp it. Legend of Zelda, same way. The newer games feel fresh. They feel different enough from the older ones where it's still, you know, it's still the same IP, but it feels like a new take. Pokemon, on the other hand, has just kind of gotten stuck in just nostalgia farming. Because frankly, a lot of the people that play the new Pokemon games were people that played the older ones. It is one of those franchises where either you like it or you don't, and the people that like it really like it.
Without that competition, without other games to be able to make that comparison to, those games and their quality slips over time. they just get worse, and they continue to until somebody finally steps up and can take the crown from them in this case. And I think that while Palworld hasn't taken the crown necessarily, it probably has for a lot of people.
Yep.
I know that I know none of this is going to stop any of the cope. Half of the people that are trying to half of the people, more than half of the people are trying to tear down Palworld. They're actually just mentally ill. I kind of really understand that now, especially looking at some of these people's profiles and seeing the people that are posting on Twitter. That's just really guys that are just shaking cups for Twitter chains for gas money more than anything else. But, you know, I wanted to
rule of engagement on Twitter. If you see someone say something stupid or rage baity and they have a blue check mark, just ignore them. You will become a happier person. You want to be the happiest person? Delete Twitter.
Try to do my best to be able to set the record straight with this video because I thought it was necessary to do so. I have a lot of respect for this game. I have a lot of respect for the people that made it, and I want to do whatever I can to be able to make sure that people get the right message about this game. And for whatever reason, if you have been holding off from playing it because of any of this discourse, ignore it all and just give the game a shot because it's 100% worth it.
It is so incredibly
before,
fun.
This game does hold like a very special place in my heart because it came from the starting of this channel, and I had actually reached out to Bucky, their community manager for Pocket Pair and for Palworld, and gave them my thanks and gave them my appreciation and told them how great it was to actually see the game reach the point that it has. And these guys are really excited. They're really happy with everything that's going on, and they're all feeling pretty positive about what they're going to be doing in the future. And they took Nintendo's basic formula and they stretched it far beyond what I think a lot of people thought anybody probably would. Well, I think a lot of
that makes
try
me
to
very
say that
confident
these games
to hear.
are not comparable. You're absolutely right. Palworld just does so much more. And while it might not be perfect, and a lot of that stuff isn't necessarily refined, what happens when it is? That's the question that you should be asking. That's the question that I'm looking forward to.
And it's not like the gacha community, for example, where it's like, oh, but the game has really good bones. In this case, that can actually be applied. The game has really good bones, and it's also just a really good fucking game. They have a very solid foundation to build off of, and they have very high quality materials to build with. They're gonna make something that lasts.
Palworld, as it is already so deep and so complex. It's absolutely absurd. So I just can't wait to see what these guys do next. But I'm also looking to see when these guys start posting some player numbers. I've been hearing some rumblings from some of their people that I had talked to. We might be hearing something soon.
Ooh.
I think it should be pretty interesting. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, share it on social media. Follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Peace.
Very good video. Very good video by Legendary Drops here. I had a lot to say with this one, and yeah, I agree with him. Like, I wholeheartedly agree with his takes here. The success that Palworld is seeing is so incredibly well-deserved from my experience playing it and playing it in the past before the 1.0 update. And the discourse going around the game is so fucking stupid. Every time I log into Twitter, I see it, where people are just crying and crying like little babies about, oh, Palworld's doing so good. What the fuck? And deep down, I feel like they know that Pokemon gotta change. This game has definitely been a wake-up call to a lot of people, and has changed a lot of people's opinions on, well, maybe things don't have to be how they are. Maybe things could be better. Maybe Pokemon can improve. And honestly, that's all you can really hope for. That Pokemon improves. I hope Digimon improves as well, because I feel like they'll see the success and be like, okay, here's what we can do. And in games like this, I just hope they improve, because the only thing that does is help the players. It helps the fan base for these games if the games do better and become better games. There is no downside to a game getting better, but it seems like a lot of people just can't accept the fact that, well, to get better, there's gonna have to be a reason for it. Because these companies get so complacent in their ideas and their formulas that they just think it's just never gonna fail. But as we've seen time and time again with games, eventually that formula fails. Let me know down below what you guys think about this While you're down there, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, turn on bell notifications. We are going to try to start uploading 3 times a week. In the description down below, you'll see this video, Legendary Drops channel. Also, like I said earlier, I stream on Twitch. Come join me. I've been playing a lot of Palworld. Also, join the Discord. I'm trying to be as active as I can in there. It's just a great place to see anything I'm working on and talk with like-minded people. With that all being said, though, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see all you beautiful people next time.